Playing by the rules or not, a routine legislative meeting takes a partisan turn at the Capitol. Plus, a new school year means there will be lessons learned. Parents wonder if that will be done remotely or in person.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Thanks for making MTN your choice for news tonight. I'm Tim McGonigal. Keely Van Middendorp is off. First at 10, Republican state lawmakers convened an unusual committee meeting today on legislative rules, but it became much more than that. Democratic legislators boycotted the meeting and called it an illegal attempt to undo Governor Steve Bullock's emergency orders dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. MTN's chief political reporter Mike Dennison has more.
Majority Republicans arranged a meeting at the Capitol of the Joint Rules Committee for the legislature. They considered several changes in legislative rules, including one allowing all lawmakers to be polled without being in session on whether to pass a so-called proclamation. Democratic members of the committee spoke with reporters beforehand and said this proclamation would be a way to end Governor Bullock's emergency orders on the coronavirus pandemic.
They're looking to change the rules for them to be able to pass a joint resolution without any committee hearings, without any public input, so that they can tear down the emergency order that is keeping people safe and healthy and protecting our economy.
He and other Democratic members said they would not be attending the meeting because it's barred by law, and that the party would file suit to block any action by Republicans on the panel. At the meeting, GOP members didn't officially pass anything. Instead, they agreed that 4 proposed rule changes, including the proclamation one, should be sent to all other lawmakers and the public for comment. Then the panel would meet again next week and decide whether to act on them. Schreiner called the move a brazen partisan power grab and suggested Republicans are trying to undo Bullock's order allowing counties to go to all-mail ballots for the November 3rd election. Republican legislative leaders, however, said that's not the case. House Speaker Greg Hertz of Polson did say, however, that some Republican lawmakers would like to consider ways to end the governor's order at some time and start allowing schools, local governments, and businesses to set their own policies for dealing with the pandemic. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
The other rule changes deal with whether lawmakers can take part in a session virtually or in person and votes on certain interim committee actions. Students at Great Falls High School are back to school this week after more coronavirus cases prompted 2 days of temporary remote learning. Coronavirus cases have also been confirmed at 2 elementary schools in the Electric City. The news has left some parents wondering if they'll have to juggle the challenges of remote learning all over again. It comes amid confusion about how much information on positive cases schools can release. The Cascade City County Health Department and Great Falls Public Schools announced Thursday morning they'll update the community every day on positive cases in the school district. But as of right now, they will not release any personally identifiable information. The State Health Department, on the other hand, will release that information. Every Wednesday, the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services will reveal which schools have positive cases. Superintendent Tom Moore says there was some miscommunication between local agencies and the state about what information they could reveal without breaking privacy laws.
There was some miscommunication around that. And the timing of it wasn't ideal. We'll correct that, but it doesn't look like we're going to be able to put out accurate information daily by school.
The state has reported 17 confirmed coronavirus cases in the school district. We had a wide-ranging interview with Superintendent Moore, and you can watch the full interview on our website. Well, in recent weeks, Benefice Health System in Great Falls has seen more COVID-19 patients in need of hospitalization. And as the colder months approach, Benefice expects to see an even greater influx of patients due to the continuation of coronavirus and the return of flu season. Chief Operating Officer Rain Ginnity said while Benefice has been proactive in preparing for the busy season ahead, the public also has a role in stopping the spread.
It's going to be very important for people to do everything they can to keep themselves healthy, staying active, eating right, all of those things, but certainly following the precautions that we have that we know to work the best. Again, social distancing, hand washing, and wearing your mask.
And you can head to our website for more tips from Benefice on how you can do your part to help flatten the curve. Well, in court news, the Montana Supreme Court has weighed in on a class action lawsuit against the Lewis and Clark Detention Center. MTN's John Riley has more.
In a 5-0 decision, the state's highest court ruled jail inmates not accused of a felony cannot be strip searched unless there is reasonable cause. The ruling reversed a decision by Helena District Court Judge Mike McMahon regarding a class action lawsuit filed against the Lewis and Clark County Detention Center. In the original lawsuit in 2018, former inmates of the jail claimed they had been illegally strip searched. The Lewis and Clark Detention Center's policy is to strip search anyone entering general population in order to prevent contraband like drugs and weapons from entering their facility. It also allowed jail staff to identify any wounds for treatment or tattoos that could create conflicts with other inmates. McMahon had ruled that it didn't violate state law, given that the plaintiffs were in a correctional facility where privacy rights can be limited. The opinion from the Supreme Court said although the detention center's blanket strip search policy did not violate the Montana Constitution and the scope of an inmate's privacy is reduced while being held, it did violate state law 465105, the one-sentence statute that says reasonable suspicion is required before a strip search. The decision notes that the law did not provide exemptions and clearly applied to all situations, including inmates. The case will now go back to district court for further proceedings. The plaintiffs are asking for an injunction that would stop the detention center from conducting the routine strip searches. They're also seeking punitive damages and monetary compensation. Reporting in Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
Well, Helena Police Chief Steve Hagan has detailed department policies to city commissioners this evening. It's part of an ongoing review of the department that the city began conducting following national calls for police reform. MTN's Alexei Aguayo reports.
Chief Hagan conducted another presentation regarding Hpd policies and procedures. This time, topics included the use of force, body cameras, misconduct, and many more.
Chief Hagan began the presentation discussing the use of force policy. All officers are required to submit a written use of force report with any hands-on actions, including handcuffing. Hagan also outlined a 2017 order from former Chief Troy McGee banning neck restraints that are designed to restrict blood flow to control a suspect. This order includes chokeholds, sleeper holds, and shoulder pins. Hagan says the order will remain in place until the ban becomes official policy. He says it isn't been made official policy yet because laws are constantly changing.
Best practices are constantly changing. Case laws, state law, they're constantly changing. So what we're looking at is getting a policy service in place. There's companies that actually write law enforcement policies and then you change and adapt them to what your agency needs, what your city wants, what your citizens want.
Chief Hagan then discussed the department's use of body cameras. The department has used body cameras since 2015. Body cameras are required to be activated during investigations where there is contact with the public. Body camera footage is kept for at least 90 days, after which point it is deleted by the system unless it is flagged as evidence. When it comes to complaints against officers, Hpd generally completes an investigation within 30 days. The city manager has final say in any disciplinary action, and complainants are contacted with the results. According to the presentation, the last full revision to Hpd policy occurred in 2001.
We have policies. We need to update those policies, and we would like to work with the community to say what's important that your police department is doing.
Chief Hagan gave his last presentation Thursday. Now the Helena City Commission will focus on hosting work groups where community members can get involved, sharing their opinions, reviewing Hpd policies and procedures. In Helena, I'm Alexei Aguayo, MTN News.
We made it through another day of some hazy skies. Will it get better as the weekend approaches? Let's check in with MTN's Elizabeth Copeland.
Still very smoky skies out there across north central and northeast Montana. You can't really tell it by our Opportunity Bank iCam, but you can barely see more than about 4 miles of visibility out there because of the thick smoke. So another smoky night is upon us on this Thursday, and we're still going to see it on Friday as well. So we have anywhere from unhealthy for sensitive groups to unhealthy air quality across west central Montana. Then across the High Line in northeast Montana, we're looking at moderate air quality. Not really seeing too much good left in the air quality forecast for really all of Montana as thick smoke continues to blanket our area. But there are some changes coming. So after another smoky night tonight in Great Falls, we hit 46 degrees on Friday. We're going to start to see a little sunshine between some of the smoke. We're going to hit 81 by the evening, though. Rain starts to move in. Wind shifts out of the northwest by Saturday afternoon. Smoke starts to finally move out by Saturday evening, and we're looking at rain in the forecast Friday and Saturday, and we'll have more on the timing of this next system's arrival coming up shortly.
Production for one product is up over 300%. I'm Keely Van Mittendorp, and I'll have that story next.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Welcome back. By now, many of us have spent more time at home as we continue through this pandemic. MTN's Keely Van Mittendorp has details on how high-demand hobbies residents have picked up over the past 6 months as suppliers scramble to stock shelves.
Many residents have started to plant gardens to keep themselves healthy during quarantine, but those looking to can this fall may find themselves in a pickle.
No lids. We have wax still, but no canning lids. Sorry. According to customers, there's none in town, and I don't know that there'll be a reprieve of that anytime soon.
Albertsons, Smith's, here.
Shoppers at Great Falls Ace Hardware told MTN News they've looked everywhere for canning lids with no luck.
I did find some at the deli out there in Vaughan, but they don't have any last I checked either, so yeah, they're empty.
Manager Keith Gibo told MTN News major suppliers say both production and demand for canning supplies is up 320%.
In a normal year, this whole top cap here is absolutely full of canning supplies for backstock, and then also, if you can see up on that back wall behind the flying Traeger pig, that whole back wall is also usually used for our backstock of canning jars.
Gibo says demand continues for items like barbecue grills and sporting equipment. They're also seeing more home repair purchases as residents clean up through quarantine.
Painting seemed to be a big thing that people were doing to spruce up their homes since they were spending so much time in it.
The hardware store isn't the only place people are turning to.
The summer has probably been, 30-40% increase anyway in new jobs over last year.
A Great Falls wood company says they've also seen business significantly up as residents remodel spaces and home offices.
5 or 6 mantles that we're doing right now, lots of countertops, kitchen, dining room tables.
The Good Wood guys are expecting their kids' craft sales to pick up this fall.
We have seen quite a lot of increase in those and expect a lot more towards the holiday season.
The wood company doesn't intend to run out of product, but other stores that depend on distributors to keep their shelves stocked say this isn't the first time they've seen the supply chain disrupted, and it won't be the last.
It wasn't that we couldn't get the fuel or that we couldn't get the garden soil or we couldn't get the potting soil, it was actually the packaging. The metal can that it comes in became the shortage, so we got very, very low on our steel moto mix because of the canning issue.
In Great Falls, Keely Van Mittendorp, MTN News.
Well, after being closed for 2 weeks because of a possible COVID-19 case in an employee, the C.M. Russell Museum is open again. People were waiting to get in when it reopened this morning. CDC cleaning recommendations were followed to deep clean the museum over the past 2 weeks. The cleaning is not anything the museum doesn't already do, but it was done more thoroughly than normal. The executive director says cleaning the museum was actually relatively simple.
We strictly prohibit visitors from touching paintings, sculptures, and our visitors are great about that. They never do that. So really when we're focused on cleaning, it's door handles, it's bathroom surfaces, it's the carpet.
Figuarelli says the closure will have an impact on the budget, but the museum is prepared to handle that impact. Meanwhile, we also have an update for you on the rescheduled Russell exhibition and sale. It was conducted last Saturday. Bidders connected primarily online and over the phone with a small live audience in attendance as well. The gross sales total for the auction, including buyers' premiums, was $4.85 million. And preparations have already begun for the next Russell, which is scheduled for August of 2021.
Rain starts to move in on Friday afternoon and haze moves out. We'll track more on that timing coming up next.
Get Storm Tracker weather starts now with Chief Meteorologist Elizabeth Copeland.
Well, back again on this Thursday evening. Thanks for letting me fill in for you once again. We're still tracking, again, smoke in the forecast. Not really much has changed over the last 3 or 4 days as that smoke from really wildfires across the West Coast, places like Oregon, Washington, California, still funneling into central and eastern Montana. So we're still going to get a lot of that smoke right into our area tonight. We're still looking at air quality anywhere between moderate, unhealthy for sensitive groups, and then unhealthy for places a little closer to western Montana. So we're still seeing that smoke really fill in even across eastern Montana tonight. That's going to be the story for the next couple hours, at least 24 hours as you wake up tomorrow morning, as this air quality alert remains in the forecast. So really all of our area, including central Montana, Fergus County, all the way over to southeast Montana, still seeing this air quality alert just because we have so much smoke that's really not even made it in just to western Montana, but into central Montana this afternoon as well. So we'll still be waking up to that tomorrow morning as well, as we sit right about the 60s across most of our area. 61 right now in Glasgow, 61 in Great Falls, and then 67 in the capital city. And we're going to hold steady in these 60s for maybe another hour or two before we finally hit those overnight lows, again dropping to the 50s and 40s once again this evening. And we're going to still see those cooler temperatures in the daytime tomorrow as well. And that's all because of the smoke. Usually when we talk about ridges, which is what's actually bringing in this smoke, we talk warmer than average temperatures. And that's usually in the 80s, 85 this time of year would be nice and warm for that ridge to bring in that air from the southwest. But we just haven't gotten there, all because of the smoke layer that's been hanging out across our area. We always have incoming solar radiation, always have that sunshine coming down, but the smoke is not allowing us to absorb it. So most of that's reflected back up into space. Not as much is absorbed by the earth, which is what heats us and makes us warm during the afternoon. So temperatures have remained lower than they should be, especially under this ridge of high pressure, all because that smoke is just reflecting most of it back up into space, a lot of it not even making it into the ground. Now the opposite occurs at night. Usually when we have clouds, the cloud kind of acts like a warming blanket and keeps that heat in, while smoke just lets it all right back up. So the little heat that we actually did get during the day, long wave radiation just skirts right past that smoke, allows it to release back in the upper atmosphere. So we lose a lot of that heat during the evening hours and the overnight hours. So temperatures tend to be cooler than expected in the overnight hours because that smoke. So they do not act like clouds, kind of the opposite. They allow all that, or at least a little of that heat that we got during the day, right back up to the upper atmosphere. So we haven't really been showing future track these last few days because there just hasn't been really anything to show. A bridge of high pressure keeps us dry and stable. Not a lot of clouds around, and if they were around, we wouldn't be able to see them anyway. But thing changes when we look at Friday, because we finally start to see clouds move back in the forecast, mixing in with that smoke, and then a nice bit of moisture starts to push in on Friday evening. Most of those showers are going to be very isolated, but then we have more moisture to come right behind that as the wind really shifts to the northwest. Cooler, wetter air finally moves in, and that's what we're looking at for our weekend forecast. So tomorrow, expect another round of hazy conditions, mostly scattered to isolated showers, especially Friday afternoon and evening. 80 degrees tomorrow in the Great Falls area, and then 73 as that cooler air and wetter air moves in from the northwest. That's when we're going to hit those 70s for the rest of the weekend. Lots of rain on the way, much needed for all of our state as we're under dry to moderate drought conditions. And then that rain moves out Sunday, leaving us mostly clear.
One 8-man football team in our area has taken a non-traditional offensive route to stay undefeated. Find out how they've done it next.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 10 o'clock news.
The Helena High and Helena Capital soccer teams took to the pitch for their final crosstown matchup of the season. MTN's Sam Hoyle has the scores and the storylines.
We've got a couple of soccer matches here at Nelson Stadium, but Carroll College's teams are up on the shelf for the fall. That means it's crosstown time in the capital city. Helena High taking on Helena Capital. We'll start with the girls' highlights first.
Helena High up 4-0 after the first half and wasted little time tacking on a fifth in the second. Avery Kraft gets the rebound, puts it away for their fifth and final score of the match. Helena Capital trying to notch one late in the game to avoid the shutout, but the Bengals able to clear the corner kick with ease as Helena High rolls in this one 5-0.
Now, in chatting with both Helena High and Helena Capital players earlier in the week before this matchup, many of them said one of the best parts of this rivalry is the fact that once the game is set and done, obviously they want to win during the game, but after the game is set and done, they're able to put that aside and all become friends again.
Especially with like soccer crosstown, I feel it so much. Just like all of us like support each other, and we all want to win. We're really competitive, but at the end of the day, like we're all friends, so that's cool.
It's always a lot of fun. Like there's like banter on the fields and stuff. And I don't know, it's just fun because like you play with them in Arsenal and then just the competition. It's really fun.
Now it's on to the boys' side of things. Helena High able to strike first. Kyler Smith cuts across to Jacob Demmons. Demmons to Russell Wells. Wells back to Demmons, who shoots and scores. Helena High up 1-0. They'd tack on one more in the first half before Capital on the free kick. Ball out of the keeper's hand off the foot of Luke Cayley and in. Capital gets within one before the end of the first half, but Helena High would add one more in the second to win this one by a final score of 3-1. Reporting in Helena, Sam Hoyle, MTN Sports.
The football team in Belts has put up 181 points in 3 weeks this season with the help of some unconventional offense. MTN's Isaiah Dunk tells us what's working for the Huskies.
Not one, not two, but 3 kids are taking significant varsity snaps at quarterback for the Belt Huskies this year. Playing multiple positions is fairly common out of necessity in 8-man football, but Belt's 3-pronged attack of Cayman Evans, Aiden McDaniel, and Bridger Vogel is actually by design.
Each of them do some different things really great, and it's nice not to limit them at quarterback where we could use them at receiver and running back, and we're hoping it, makes teams have to spend a little extra time prepping for us, and we try to run, some different stuff with them, and they're just very unselfish and do a great job.
But the Huskies' depth goes beyond rotating quarterbacks. For instance, Coach Graham played 4 different kids at center last week, and the team recognizes how much better they can be with a plug-and-play mentality.
It's really nice we can change positions just like that. We can put anyone where we want. It's just easy for subbing and all that extra stuff. We have so much depth in our bench.
We all bring a different kind of like aspect to like with the quarterback spot or something. So whenever a different kid takes a quarterback, their team has to adjust and they don't, they can't key on one guy or something like that.
That depth could come in handy this Friday against a tough Fort Benton squad in what figures to be one of the premier games in the 8-man North this year.
They're big. We're going to be pretty good up front and, do a good job stopping the ball and execute, and it should be a fun one. Hopefully it's a good game.
In Great Falls, Isaiah Dunk, MTN Sports.
Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Lots of rain still in the forecast for the weekend as temperatures cool. A new system brings in cooler and wetter weather and also kicks out some of that wildfire smoke we've been seeing these last couple of days. So another hazy afternoon in the capital city, rain moving in later on Friday night. Showers are going to last through the rest of the weekend and move out by Sunday morning.
Finally, the British government believes the International Space Station is in danger of being hit by space debris and wants to do something about it. The country's space agency received $1 million to help fund programs to clear some of the debris. It's impossible to keep an eye on the estimated 160 million pieces of debris. The UK government says even small pieces traveling at 18,000 miles per hour would be devastating to the space station or satellites. One of the programs will use lasers to map and track debris to hopefully help the space station steer clear of them. That's all the time we have tonight. Have a great evening. We'll see you tomorrow.